Alright, here we go. Last day of Balance Manifesto. Today we've got Aura's Curses and Elemental Damage over time. Okay, here we go. Just gonna dive into this. Support characters, auras, and other reservation effects. The reduced reservation stat provides very little benefit at low values, but becomes very powerful when heavily invested in. This allows players to run every aura in the game. It also forces reduced reservation to be balanced around extreme levels of investment, limiting how useful it can be to characters that do not run enormous numbers of reservation skills. Finally, characters that heavily invested in reduced reservation in order to run more skills on mana were also able to reserve life extremely effectively as well with no further investment, rendering this the only sensible way to play most heavily reservation-focused builds. Solution: replace reservation reduction with reservation efficiency. When stacked, reservation efficiency does not allow for infinite auras. This can be given out much more liberally as a result, letting characters run additional reservation effects with only a couple of sources of reservation efficient. The average character benefits, but the top end of extreme reservation has been made significantly weaker. Okay. There's a lot of stuff in here. Modifiers of reservation replace reservation efficiency. Reservation efficiency works by dividing the cost of reservation effect. 100% increased reservation efficiency would have the cost of all auras. 50% reservation efficiency cuts down costs enough to let you reserve an additional 50% reservation aura. Okay. Passives and item modifiers with reduced reservation have been replaced with mana reservation efficiency, generally at double the value of previously reserved reservation value, but sometimes with different values for balance reasons. This means that a small amount of reservation investment is more impactful than before. Good. High investment doesn't allow as many auras to be used. The vast majority of reservation efficiency offered is now mana specific in order to prevent reserving both life and mana being the default choice for a build heavily invested in reservation. Yeah, this is changing a lot. A lot. Okay. Yeah, there's so much. Like, I feel like a lot of this we're gonna have to see. Skyforth, yeah. Rest reservation. Hmm. Okay. Essence Worm now grants 80% reduced reservation efficiency, not specific to mana, but a 40% increased reservation. Okay. Well, still working the same. They're just like changing how it works. Prism Guardian, 30% increased reservation efficiency instead of reduced reservation. This got nerfed. Shaper and 100 Influence Shields got nerfed as well in that regard. I assume the chests might have as well. Powered item got nerfed. Heretic's Veil, slight nerf. Not bad. Okay. Problem. Characters specialized in maximizing the power of auras provide an absolutely insane amount of damage and defense to party members, making a party with an aura specialized character so much more effective than one without. Solution: remove sources of aura effect from cluster jewels and move the aura cluster jewels type to small cluster jewels. So it is no longer possible to continuously stack aura effect for your party. Introduce a new cluster jewel notable to increase the effect of auras on you for builds that are building auras for their own power. So they move the medium cluster jewel to small cluster jewel. All have had aura effect removed. Powerful Harbinger now only applies to your own aura's effect on you. So, really hurts for minion builds, I think. Really hurts. Really hurts for minion builds. Yep. Okay. Curses. Probably the same thing happening right here. Characters specialize in maximizing the number and power of curses provide far too much damage and defense to party members, making a party with a curse specialized character so much more effective than one without. Yeah. Make curse clusters, small cluster jewel with many notables reworked to benefit specific curses significantly, greatly improving a regular character wanting to maximize their curse of choice. Make significant changes to Dodre's skin as it applies many curses at almost no cost. Okay. Yep, cluster jewel changes. Dodre's skin now grants hexes from socketed skills can apply 5 additional curses. Previously granted hexes from socketed skills ignore curse limit. This is so replicas Dodre's damning has some downside with using it. Now grants 20% less effect of curses. Or also, so this is a big nerf to replicas Dodre's damning, because this lowered your max number of curses, but gave you a lot of curse effect. So you didn't have to deal with the downside of it. So now the chest giving you 5 additional curses, you'd have to get 2 additional curses to use the rings and still apply 5 curses. So it's still theoretically possible. It's a little bit harder. Yeah, they reduced the effect on the replica Dodre stamming. Deeks Juju nerfed as well. Okay. Big nerfs to supports there. Hopefully it doesn't hurt. New cluster jewel notable passives that benefit Doom. Okay. Okay. So they're still leaving that in there. It's still potential to be good. And I think curses will mostly be fine from that. This is really just a change to curse spots and cluster jewel stacking. Seems the same with auras as well. So if you're, with the exception of minions, there's a lot of it being changed to effect on like you. But what about minions? What about minions? Alright, elemental damage over time. Effects of cold dot, burning, and ignite are too dependent on elemental overload and elemental equilibrium. Okay. Ignites are too dependent on the ignite damage multipliers on skills, making skills without ignite multipliers too weak to use ignite with. True. Greatly improve the base strength of ignite, burning, and cold damage over time, while making elemental overload and elemental equilibrium less powerful or require more investment with damage over time skills. Rebalance skills that could apply ignite effects around the new base damage of ignite and remove ignite damage multipliers. So, okay. Player Ignite now inherently deals 150% more damage than before, previously 50% base damage over 4 seconds, now 125% of base damage over 4 seconds. Okay. Creeping Frog, okay. Deal more damage. So this is 15, like 15%. Oh, big damage numbers. Big damage numbers. Okay. Okay. That's a big increase on Creeping Frost. Hit damage remains unchanged. Is 50% of this would be like 700. So yeah, they over accounted for the 40% from losing elemental overload. Elemental equilibrium was a little bit harder to work in. but it's also like we're losing a lot of damage because I'm playing this exact build right now, cold damage over time, that uses heavily both elemental overload and elemental equilibrium. So I'm a little nervous about this. The Wintertide brand getting buffed as well, pretty substantially at the top end. Cold Snap had its hit damage increased at the low and top end. Okay. Dodge reduced on the actual Cold Snap, but Vol Cold Snap is getting a big buff. Why lower the dot of Cold Snap, but increase the hit? Okay, let's check Vortex. Vortex says that its hit damage increased, dot increased, and crit chance lowered. Okay, Siphoning Trap, damage increase, damage increase. Okay. The Burning Skills, same thing, damage increase, Searing Bond, Scorching Ray, damage lowered at, no, damage raise. Okay, Righteous Fire, damage increase, and it now deals more base fire damage to you. No. Okay, so no, this is a buff. To the amount of life and ES that it's doing as damage. Okay, buff to All Righteous Fire, Fire Trap. Big increase here, hit damage remains unchanged, so... Okay. Flame Wall. Unchanged, level 1. And then damage buff, same here. And all these... Oh god, I'm not reading through all these. I'll get the gist of what's going on here. No longer has more damage with Ignite, now has chance to ignite all gym levels. Because of Ignite, damage changes. Ignite with the skill is now 33% higher. Yeah, so it's going to be the same like across the board for like all Ignite stuff. Just factoring in the math changes. Okay, the Elemental Overload Keystone passive skill now grants more ailment, hit and ailment. Now gives more hit and ailment elemental damage. Ailment elemental damage. So Ignite now it gives more hit and ignite damage to skills if they crit in the last 8 seconds. So that means you have to crit with the skill you're using to get the buff from elemental overload damage. This means you can't use a second rapidly hitting skill, making a small amount of critical chance investment much more important as skills taking advantage over elemental overload. So it also means you have to replace Controlled Destruction in the links as well to make use of this, because they nerfed that into the ground. Because it used to be kind of possible to run Elemental Overload on your main skill, but just getting enough crit chance to make it happen. Interesting. Ailment, elemental damage. Like, there is no other ailment that deals elemental damage than Ignite. I don't know why this is worded this way. Because all the cold dot is its own, like, dot source. It's not... your chilling damage is not doing elemental damage. It's doing damage given the skill. Unless something's reworked. No. Maybe it could be reworked so that, like, Wintertide brand and maybe Siphoning Trap could count as, like, the chill doing damage. Damage which... no, that doesn't sound right either. Seems like a nerf to cold dots. Elemental Equilibrium Keystone passive skill now applies 25% exposure of the elements not hit with, removing exposure of the elements you hit with. It's now an easy way to apply a strong exposure effect rather than a huge damage boost that we balance elemental damage over time skills around. Some other skills have been reviewed because of these changes. We'll be looking at pure elemental minions to determine what changes are needed here. We move the Elemental Equilibrium Keystone passive to the Ranger section of the passive skill tree, where there is much less existing access to exposure or elemental builds and access to skills that rotate elements such as Wild Strike. Okay, I like the idea of moving it to benefit elemental hits or Wild Strike that change elements. So, I mean, they kind of front loaded it with we really buffed the damage numbers, but from the build that I'm playing, I could still probably get the elemental exposure if I could get elemental equilibrium. But they also made it harder to get on the current build that I'm playing. So if I pop into here, look at this tree. So currently, elemental equilibrium is right up here, and elemental overload's up here. So this might still be here, but it's being changed. So let's say that's no longer in effect. That's fine. But if you're moving wherever, say, maybe like down in here, maybe elemental overload's down in here. So then it's like more viable to just like cut this whole tree off this and kind of like rebuild things from a different direction. Because there's lots of life and then there's ailment stuff down here. The build really hinges on these reservation nodes to be able to run my Blasphemy Curse, Clarity, and Malevolence. Like, it doesn't work. The mana costs on the skills are way too high to play this build any other way, in my opinion. Unless you're, like, going... Well, like, either way, you're gonna have, like, mana recovery issues using Cold Snap, Vortex, because these skills cost a stupid amount of mana. So yeah, just, like, casting everything, like... If you've got Frenzy charges and you can continuously cast your Cold Snap, like, it will destroy your mana. Interesting, though. So this is going to change everything. Regarding Cold Dot, that's for sure. So let's keep going. More scaling options have been added to damage over time builds on the passive skill tree and items, raising the top end of damage over time for well-good characters. There are 5 tiers of Global Dot on Suffix. Was going up to 26. Okay, going up to 26% and 45%. That's a buff. Global Dot Suffix rolls on amulets. There was a Global Dot Suffix that rolled on amulets? I don't know that there was. How have I never seen like a global damage over time multiplier? It's like always been specific. Like in the case of mine, like I have a 15%, 13 to 16. This is what it is. Cold damage over time multiplier. I've never seen a generic damage over time multiplier on an amulet. It's always been specific. So, if that gets raised to 26, that's fantastic as the top end, but... Influence modifiers on rings that had a chance to ignite, freeze, and shock, as well as some flat damage, have been changed. They no longer provide a chance to apply the ailment, but provide a lot more added damage instead. The fire version rolls up to 23 to 30 to 47 for fire damage against ignited enemies. Cold and lightning. Essence of Joyab no longer rolls hexes, have max doom, or dot multi on amulets. It now switches them. Instead, rolls 12 to 15% dot multi on rings. That's huge. That is insane, because we can't get dot multi on rings. Essence of Delirium is going to be big for dot multi on rings. Absolutely huge. And hexes have plus 10 to max doom on amulets. So this is going away on rings, but it's being added to amulets. So this will be going away on amulets and being buffed and added to rings, so it can be added twice. So instead of forcing a 10%, you can get up to 30% on your rings. I like that. I like that. So I think okay, let's proceed more. Fire, cold, physical, and chaos damage over time multiplier modifiers on jewels have the values of 6 to 8%, previously 3 to 4. So they're trying to account for the fact that they just like gutted existing cold dot builds. I think the changes that they made are still there. I do not know why they felt the need to nerf the cold snap dot. No, I was just reading it backwards. They didn't nerf it. Oh, okay. I'm dumb. They nerfed the base hit, or they buffed the base hit of cold snap, and they buffed the dot. Okay. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I just read it wrong. Yeah. Influence skulls and amulets goes up to 16 to 20. Produce up to 16. So, Emberwake is getting nerfed. Okay. Faster ignite, poison, bleed modifiers on influence boots don't go up. Okay, so that's a buff to poison and bleed. Just kind of shoved in here. Poison and bleed are getting buffed because of all that. Alright. Problem. Burning Arrow is too complex for a level 1 skill. Solution. Redesign the skill without a secondary stacking burning effect, but with high added fire damage against ignited enemies. No longer has a stacking burning effect. Okay, so this reworking how that gem works. Okay. Problem. Ignite builds don't have a way to focus their damage on bosses, forcing balance to be the same for clear speed damage and boss damage. Solution. Change Flame Surge and introduce a new attack-based mechanic to be able to deal much more burning damage to a targeted enemy. I don't know about that. Flame Surge is rather wonky to use. I think this needs to be something for ignites. Like, you don't want ignite to be poison, right? You don't want it to be infinitely stacking. I feel like it needs something like what Wintertide Brotherhood does for cold dots. It makes the target deal, or like take increased burning, like increased cold dot, with the stacking debuff. So let's say like fire trap. So you throw a fire trap, and be caught in the burning ground of fire trap. The longer it stays in the burning ground of the fire trap, the more stacks it gains of a debuff that can stack to 15, say, that increases fire damage taken over time. Something like that. There needs to be something like that, kind of filling the place that like Wintertide brand has, I think. And that's that. We've it's been this is a lot of stuff. Like, this is just one of the, like, there's so much changing. It's ridiculous. Okay, so now back to my character. I honestly like knew I had to do another one of those today, so I didn't do much. I've just been grinding Proxima maps. Literally grinding cage and maze maps. 36% level 95. And yeah, so I guess what I'm really I've just been farming for harvests, trying to roll stuff. Haven't really hit anything of note anywhere. Yeah, just hoping I hit something big. And show and tell stuff I've got. A few Faster's Lids. I got a 6-link Conquest Chainmail. I got an Eye of Innocence. Level 21 Flame Wall. And a 6-link Rigwald Charge. So that's fun. Add to my 6-link pile. And this. Better base. Stuff. Gems. 1 gems. I got 2 level 21 flame walls now. Fantastic. And I've only seen my 1 empower as well. Something weird happened here. Yeah, I got a 1 single enlighten. It went to 4. So yeah. So tomorrow I'll get back into the higher tier maps and stuff. I've farmed up so many master missions. Just spamming these maps. And it's also giving me 500 sulfite on completion of each map. So just kind of busting these maps out, looking for breaches, killing the boss, and I've been doing all of these. Got so much of this currency. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. We'll kind of figure things out. I need to spend a day doing logbooks. I need to spend a day doing blighted maps. Well, there's not as many of those as I thought. Only reason I'm going to go back to do heists is if I want to level. Because there's enough to level me to 98 just sitting in here right now. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this one today. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you tomorrow, back with the fun stuff. Yeah. See you for now.